Welcome to the Deep End, where nothing's off limits and no topic is too deep. We're John and Jesika, diving straight into raw, real, and unfiltered conversations that hit hard and make you think.
If you're ready to break boundaries and challenge the norm, then hold on tight, because we're about to go deep. Man, I've been trying to digest what this week was about. As I was thinking about that, something did come to mind as far as something that we should definitely dove into today. Okay, so you have the woman's perspective. I'm going to have the man's perspective. Do you think we should try to make other people happy?
I don't believe in that, period. So,
Okay.
but give me context, though.
Okay, let's talk about marriages for a second.
Okay.
You know, as a therapist, I'm seeing people all the time, and one thing that keeps coming up, and I'm actually resonating with it, is there's nothing a man can do to really make his woman happy. Make her feel safe, for sure, but happy, I don't think that's possible.
It's not possible, but I think you just kind of hit it, though, when you said it. When you said make her feel safe, yes, and that is what translates to happiness, amongst other things. Right. So, what do you really mean by making her happy?
I'll give you a particular incident. So married man, wife is complaining. I'm home alone with the kids. I'm doing all the chores in the house. You don't help me do this. You don't help me do this. And she's pointing out he's checked out. So I asked the question, well, why did you check out? Instead of, bombarding him with the facts of what he's doing, why you check out? And he says, nothing I do works. He's like, I bring home the money, I pay the bills. Even when I do try to help, it ain't enough. She gets mad when I'm paying her attention because I'm clingy, and she's upset when I don't pay her no attention because I'm being distant. If I'm trying to do the chores and do the work, I'm, taking over and controlling. And if I don't do anything, I'm a bum. And it's like, no matter what I do, so I rather just check out and let her just be unhappy.
So, but really what I was hearing from that is, and this may not be what he's saying or what the situation is at all, but I hear from that he is responding when she has told him to do something. So then I'm just going to do it. And that's supposed to make her happy. But that's not what we're looking for as women.
Okay. But man, I agree with you.
Okay.
But society makes it difficult for men to just take charge, be the leader.
I don't give a damn about society. Like, what you gonna do? Like, this is your relationship. This ain't society's relationship. So you as a man, you should know, if you're gonna be married to a woman, you should know what you need to do, and it should be F society. So I don't even understand that.
So, okay. I have a picture in my mind of what that looks like, but I want to hear from you. What does that look like for the men out there from a woman's point of view? Because I may say it and it may sound very male chauvinistic.
And what does what sound like to me?
That setup where the man, stops worrying about being reactive to whatever the woman's request is and take that leadership role where they set the standard, they set the pace of the home. What does that look like?
Okay, so I would imagine it looks like, first, before I can even go there, I need to state that I believe in the traditional gender roles, okay?
Right.
So that's what's going to be, I'm going to be referencing that when I give you my answer. So I believe that for a man, the men are supposed to be the providers. They're supposed to be the protectors. But that does not just look like the man working. The man paying the bills. It also looks like protecting that woman's feelings, emotional state, psychological state, and even fostering an environment to where she can feel emotionally safe and vulnerable and fed. That is a man. I think one of the analogies or illustrations that I believe I was taught, maybe it even came from you, was like a man is supposed to be the thermostat and like controlling the temperature in the relationship. And that's a big job. That's a major job. Right. But I think if he is doing that, then that woman, okay, if she's truly on her game, okay, then she's going to notice that and respond accordingly. We can't argue with a man who's on top of his shit.
So let me challenge that because I actually had this issue personally
Okay.
early on in my marriage. So early on, as a provider, I was recognizing financially we wasn't being responsible early on, and I'm like, we got to do something about it. Now, if I was single, I know what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could survive off ramen noodles and and the
Right.
bare minimum for a long time if I need to get back. So when I was single, it was, you know, that's just something I would do. But when you're thinking about carrying a family, they're not going to see the need to sacrifice the same way as
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see it. So anyway, in this particular scenario, I was realizing like, man, we got to get back on track. We keep getting off track. And one thing I tracked that was causing us problems is we were constantly spending in areas we didn't need to spend. And so I came to my wife and I said, listen, I know how to get us back on track. You're not going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go on a spending freeze. If it isn't essential, we're not going to do it. And I mean, this went 4 years. I said, give me a year and then we'll turn everything else back on. But you got to give me a year and then we'll be responsible. So that means we not going overboard for birthdays and
Right.
holidays and vacations. We ain't doing a vacation this year. You know, we'll do meaningful stuff to celebrate each other, but we're not going to go all out, put money on credit cards
Mm-hmm.
and spend what we don't have for a year. And that made my wife sad.
Mm.
And I hate it as a man. I hated seeing her kind of sad about what this year was going
Mm-hmm.
to look like. Now we did it, and after that year, she was thankful because the bills were paid, money
Right.
was in the bank, we restored where we needed to be, and then now we could be more responsible. So I had to go through it, you know. But during that year process, every time something came up, and man, there's a lot of holidays and celebrations
Mm-hmm.
that we. I mean, you think about
In a
Valentine's,
year. Yeah.
birthdays,
But
Christmas,
that's what it
New
takes.
Year's,
That's what
Thanksgiving,
we committed to.
Easter. You know, there's so many different things
Mm-hmm.
that people would take summertime vacation. You don't realize how much money you're spending throughout the year. It's almost, it could be almost 10% of your budget.
Mm-hmm. You know I'm harsh
Right.
in my communication. I'm saying F your feelings. Like, if there is a goal that we, okay, the collective, like you just said, I'm not looking out for just John, just myself. It is for our family. Then
Right.
F your feelings. Like, this is what is going to set our family up for greatness. So, this is just what we got to do. Feel
Right.
sad that you can't or wouldn't be responsible, I should say, for you to go overboard in this way financially for these holidays and stuff like that for the year. But that's just a little temporary,
Right.
whatever. Like, because if we stick to this, then the following years we straight. Let's do what we want to do.
I hear you, but in real time, most women will be upset.
And I would be upset, and I'm a woman, and I would be upset, right? Because I'm a person who I enjoy what I enjoy. I like to have what I want when I want it. You know,
Right.
I am that, and it would suck. But I'm also that person who is willing to risk temporary whatever to have the rest of my life, for example, you know, an extreme example of being able to have what I want to have. And it just takes this temporary setback if we take it. So I was like, who cares?
So, in order for that to happen, in my opinion, the man has to be able to turn off that side that wants to see you happy all
That
the
wants to
time.
people please. Yeah.
People please. Because, you know, and I'm thinking about even raising my daughters, you know, there are things that I know they don't like, and they give me such a hard time when I'm trying to get them to do something that they don't like. And the only way for me to really get them to listen is I have to dig in and say, no, this is how it's going to be. Or else, like, for example, I was teaching my daughter, we were driving yesterday, and we were taking a long trip. We was going from here to Gunnersville, about an hour drive.
Okay.
And going up the mountains and going down the mountains is the first time ever driving a mountainous road. And I'm telling her, stay on the brake. Leave the gas alone. You don't need the gas going down the mountain because you're going to accelerate anyway.
Right.
But she would not listen, to the point I had to make her pull over. I'm like, if you can't listen to me giving you instructions that are going to save you, protect you, you don't deserve to drive. And you can get out. She said, let me try again. And then she did it perfectly.
That's what's missing, it seems, at least in like these modern relationships, you know, men and women. It's like almost like y'all forget that we women, that we girls. Like, we respond to life totally differently than y'all do. We respond to stimuli totally different than y'all do. There was something that I saw on, I think, the Instagram some time ago, and it was just some podcaster saying something to the effect of all women want to be treated like little girls. And I initially wanted to be offended by that.
Yeah,
But
because
then I
I'm
was
thinking
like,
about everybody right now.
that is facts beyond facts beyond facts.
I just imagine everybody right now that's like, man, no, I don't.
Right, and I would be like, I would dare say, then you don't know yourself, because we do. And but what he was saying when he said we want to be treated like little girls, is like how a father would respond to a little girl. So there are times when your father is going to have to get stern with you, right? Yeah. And be like, no, this is for your own good. We want to be protected. We want to be taken care of and nurtured in that way. We don't always lead. I'm sorry, not always. We don't lead with that. We don't at all. And we would even put up a whole bunch of resistance.
So then talk to me about this feminine movement then.
Some bullshit.
Because there's a lot of women who are like woman power, and I'm not talking about just your white women. I'm talking about all races.
I know,
especially our black women. You know, I'm powerful. I'm this. I'm strong. You know, and granted, they've had to take on some of that responsibility historically, but now we're not in that same position. What do you do with that? Because like I'm trying to be sensitive. I don't want to come off as if I don't want you to feel good about yourself or strong. I want you to feel strong, but don't overpower me. Let me be the man.
Right, and that's what I believe that feminist movement has created, which is why I think it's some bullshit. It became this whole women are the leaders and, you know, give the guidance and stuff, and not to say that we can't. I believe that women, controversial, women, we are the only gender that we can do everything. Y'all can't. We can hold down the businesses, we can raise the families, we can do it all. Y'all don't have that, and that's okay. You're not supposed to, okay? I know.
What about business though?
What about business?
See, Jessica, we're about to go raw.
Let's do it.
We're about to go raw. Let me tell you something. What about business? Because you have women now in leadership roles.
And?
Running major organizations.
We could do it all. Get your mind right.
Because I want to say this right. Because I'm thinking about some changes even in my own community. There are some leaders, there are women leaders. Is that a good thing? Because that means that, you know, let's say I've had many bosses. I have women bosses and I have men bosses. And I'm going to tell you, I've loved all the men bosses I've ever had.
My favorite are men.
Right. And I've always had conflict with my women.
Always. Me too.
Always. And it's not because I'm not willing to submit and do what it is that they ask me to do. Is that their way of dealing with conflict is, to me, not demeaning.
Well, I think that's a very layered thought.
It is.
Okay. And I believe that a lot of times we encounter those horrible women bosses, because I've had them too. And it's not just because they're female, though. I think that that's something that we want to think. But I think because they're female, there is so much that they have to fight and deal with, that it manifests itself in them in certain kind of non-productive, even toxic ways. But the issues or the conflict that you're having with them is not simply because they're a woman.
I agree with you. But even in those situations, a line that you don't cross. Like you don't challenge my manhood because you challenge my productivity or my
Right.
workload. And I think sometimes women don't know how to navigate the two. There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between challenging my manhood and needing me to do something or I didn't do something right.
Mm-hmm.
Even with even with general people that you love. Like I have a daughter, my middle child. She is very strong-willed, very opinionated, and she may ask me something that I'm willing to do, but say it in a way that is challenging my manhood. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, like let's say my dog is I crate my dog sometimes, and when I come home, the first thing I want to do is let her out so she can use the bathroom. And like let's say my daughter's walking in with me because this actually happened.
Okay.
We're walking into the house and you hear my dog excited, ready to get out
Mm-hmm.
because she's ready to go. But I can't get to the crate right then and there. I have to put my bags down, do something. I'm getting there, but I haven't gotten there yet. And she was like, uh, "You need to take your dog out now."
Mm-hmm.
She's not wrong, but the approach she took challenged my manhood. Now I have to address her. And then she's like, "What did I say wrong? What did I do wrong?" It's like, it's how you talk to me. You
Mm-hmm.
can't talk to me in a way that challenges my manhood and think you can get away with it. I'm a grown man. I'm not going to let this 13-year-old girl think that she could talk to me in any kind
Right.
of tone
Right.
because it's different now. If she would have been like, "Hey, Dad, what about the dog? Can you let the
Mm-hmm.
dog out?" Fine. I might have said, "Hey, can you go ahead and open the cage while I, get her food and stuff like that ready?" But the way she approached it,
Right.
I had to sit down and correct her, like, "Hey, you can't do that. You
Right.
don't you can't usurp my authority like that because that puts you in a position over me and you're not."
Mm-hmm.
And, I find that in a lot of different scenarios, even in other people's relationship, like there's this challenge where women will approach men in a way that may be technically okay,
Mm-hmm.
but the way they approach it challenges their
Yeah.
role as a man.
That has been my entire relationship history. Okay. Like I have been one of those women who I'll just say I offend men. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things one of my closest friends says to me or has said to me is, Jesika, you are probably one of the best men I have ever met. you know like and she says that as a dig, but then it's
Right.
also like as a joke, like, girl, come on, you got to start responding to men this way. You
Do
have
you
to
agree with her?
allow men to be men, right? I agree with her half-heartedly.
Okay.
Okay. And what I more so agree with is I have been with the wrong men. Okay. So it's not that I am, I guess, being more authoritative or whatever, then I guess that's normal or acceptable. You can't handle this. Your manhood can't handle this.
So what would be handling? Because the picture that comes in my mind is you sit. You ever see those little memes or something where
Mm-hmm.
the girl is all yelling loud and the guy comes up and like sit down somewhere,
Right.
and then all of a sudden they humble themselves and
Right.
they're like this little prissy little
Exactly.
girl.
And I have not had that. Right. And I would be less, I'm not one to yell and all of that stuff, but let's just say that I am, proverbially speaking. If that were the case, I would have loved that. I would have loved for that man to respond that way. That is a man that can handle that. And
That
I
is a
think
mixed
that's
message.
a secure, how is that a mixed message?
That's a mixed message because you coming off like you don't want someone to you want to battle or you want someone to
I'm an
buckle.
emotionally driven woman. You all don't get to say, women, y'all are so emotional, but then when we're doing it, you're sending mixed messages?
Hmm.
That's wild.
So then why are men not doing it more? What happened? What happened to stop men from doing it?
Can you
Something
tell me?
happened. Well,
Cause, cause I ain't seen it with my granddaddy, so I don't know.
there used to be a time women didn't leave. You know, when I was growing up, I think my grandmother was the last generation of women that didn't leave just because things wasn't going right. And my granddad was he was a piece of work. But my grandmother stood in there and didn't leave. You know, that wasn't a part of their vocabulary.
Right.
And you can tell that relationship of man woman traditionally was intact. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing because I also saw the pain that my grandfather caused being that man, that alpha male. You know,
Right.
he had women on the side. You know, he did his own thing. You couldn't tell him nothing. But he also led the household. He also protected. He also provided. He all 11 kids all stayed in line. You know, when he came around, he was definitely that alpha male, but it came with some positives and some negatives.
But isn't that what we're seeing now? It's like we've gone to the other extreme
For
of
sure.
things, which still has some positives and some negatives. And so I think we just got to determine as a society, as maybe probably even just that couple, like, what do you subscribe to? And so, like, I think a lot of times we have experienced those grandparents and those uncles and aunties who been together for 50 years, and we look
Right.
at the longevity as health.
Right.
That ain't what it means. You know, like you just said, it could also mean that, for example, particularly being a woman, what job was she gonna get to be able to take care of these kids if she left this man? You know, like what type of covering would she have? So there were a lot of things that I believe our elders, women more so, experienced and had to work through that motivated them to stay. Where we are now so much more educated. Women
Right.
are making so much more money now. We like, I could buy a man, you know, if I want him. And I think that's also part of that whole feminist movement too. You
Right.
know, where it has created this divide, I will say, amongst men and women, instead of bringing us together to realize that we are actually literally designed for each other, to be each other's yin and yang.
So what's the solution then? Because at this point, it's like we can't win to lose. We're not gonna win being strong alpha males, but we also seeing being weak, how weak is destroying the fabric of our community.
So we had this conversation a little while ago, John, where I was essentially saying that I think that we have given way too much credence to feelings.
Right.
And that's where I am even with this. I think we've given feelings way too much power. And so you want a solution, we gotta go back to fucking your feelings. Like, this is just what we need to do. This is what's going to create a healthier relationship and experience for the both of us. Like, we can't keep giving these temporary feelings all of the problem.
Okay.
I mean, all of the power.
So I currently live in a home. I'm just using that as an example. I currently live in a home where the power shift is, you know, we're competing with each other. You doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. You're complaining about what I'm not doing, I'm complaining about what you're not doing. I want to come in, I want to fix that. Like, what would be day one? What do you do?
So as a man, I would probably imagine that you would need to come in and just have a conversation with that woman. Share
Okay.
your thoughts. Share exactly what you just said. Like, this right here is not working, you know, because we are at each other's throats, and I don't want that.
Right.
So what can we do? Ask
That's
questions.
a problem, though. No, see,
What's the problem? Asking questions?
what can we do? What can we do? I don't need to ask what can we do. I need to come in with the plan. Hey, here's the new plan.
I can respect that. I can. But then you may be facing that rebuttal or that resistance from that woman where that plan don't work because you did not consult. I think that's...
Trust me, I don't need to consult you. Trust me.
But your record has proven to me that I can't
Up my
trust
record.
you.
That was in the past.
Okay, but we're dealing with it in the present
Right. And
of
I'm
your
doing
bullshit
something new.
past actions.
That's right. And now in the new, here's the plan. Either get on board or let's make an exit for
And
you.
I think that a lot of women will end up getting on board. They will be
With that alter,
unhappy.
you think so?
They will be unhappy. Yes. They will resent you, but they would do it.
You think so?
Yes.
Oh man, you gonna get some
Yes.
people in trouble because I'm gonna try it.
Not
Yo, we call
trying.
it. Hey, I'll call it a what's that? A staff meeting? No, we call it a family meeting.
I mean, but it will be literally what you just said. Either they will do it
Here's
or
the
they'll
schedule.
leave.
Cause see, I see these relationships where the woman's complaining, "You're not part of the household. You're not doing this. You're not doing this," and it's like for me, I can imagine it's too many chiefs in the kitchen. Like, why would I come in and do it
Right.
when you already got your own little schedule? Now, if I came in and was like, okay, you want me to be involved, then I'm organizing all this. I'm making a schedule, and we're gonna go. This is our clean schedule. Here's everybody's responsibilities. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's the things that how we're gonna handle things. This is what you can't do. What you can do. This is how our home is gonna be ran. Then now I have ownership, so I am gonna
Right.
be involved. I can
Right.
be involved in all that. I be involved in the kids' school if I'm leading the pack. But if I'm not leading the pack, I'm not going to try to fight with you because there's too many chiefs in the kitchen. There's only one chief in my mind.
And so, what do? I mean, like I said, I think that's a conversation. I mean,
You sit down. I guess you just sit down and have a plan.
yeah, and you enact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're telling these men to do. It's like, hey, you need to come. You need to come to the home, and you need to be like, hey, here is what we're going to start doing. This is how we're going to start working. This is what we need. Either get on board or get out of the way.
Yeah, and I believe that should be done definitely like on the front end. Like before you even get to the whole marriage thing, then y'all should have already had that conversation. You should have already been exhibiting, like showing her that that's the type of man that you are. Y'all should already be on the same page. She should know that this is what my husband expects and my soon to be husband expects of me, and this is what I expect of him based on what he has shown me in our, I'm gonna use the old word, courtship. We don't use that word no more, you know.
But millions of marriages have already started off on the wrong
Wrong.
foot.
Yes.
So if we're going to save marriages and we're going to put people on the right place, like I have family members right now who are contemplating divorce. They are separated, not because they don't love each other, not because they're not both good people, but it's because they can't get this in line. And so if we were talking to them, like I'm really talking to people I care about right now, that means that they need this, the man needs, not someone, the man needs to say, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to move from now on so that we can alleviate this problem.
100%, I agree with that.
We're going to alleviate this problem. This is how we're going to do it.
Yeah. And with that man, be willing to also accept if she does not want to ride with you on it. Is the next thought, okay, then I'm out or you're out, then okay, then be willing to do that.
That's so hard when you love someone, though. It's hard when you love someone.
See,
Cause like,
F your feelings, see.
but no, time out though. Cause I love my wife. I love my wife dearly, dearly love my wife. But there's some things she won't get her hands off of. That, I've just grown to say, okay, I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, I'm not saying everything got to be a battle. That's it. Not at all what I'm saying.
But it should be. Like, if I really was doing my job, I would probably be like, yo, we're going to deal with this. Because the very thing you complaining about is the very thing I know what I need to do to solve it. But you ain't going to like
So
how I
then,
solve
when
it.
I said F your feelings just a moment ago, and you needed me to chill, I mean, I don't really see where I need to chill because it would be a F your feelings, John. Like, yeah.
I hear you. But I know during the process, someone's gonna get hurt. I've never hurt. I've never hurt my wife in any kind of way, in any kind of deep feelings. And yeah, so I'm being vulnerable here. I admit that I've always yielded to her comfort more than my duty.
Right.
And I think that's a problem.
And I think like even in the illustration that you started off with that man and that woman,
Yeah.
um, that's exactly what I think he ends up doing is yielding to her comfort many
Right.
times. When women, we need to respect y'all.
Right.
And we respect y'all when y'all are leading us appropriately or
Right.
leading the family appropriately and governing
Right.
yourselves, governing us. If you keep yielding to us,
I hear you. So okay. I don't want this just to be. So another issue that goes along with this that I think men do, because I do, and I've seen a lot of men do this, is one thing. Okay, so a woman can come to me and ask me anything. My car is broken. The stairs need to be fixed. The lights are out, or we need more money. Just randomly say that, and then look at me and like, okay, how are we gonna get it
yeah.
done? If I go and say the same thing, hey, the car is broken.
What you coming at me for?
Why you looking at me
Yeah.
for? What you gonna do about it?
Right. You the man.
I can't say that.
Correct.
I remember one time I'm like, man, I'm gonna take. We had a utility bill. It was almost $600, and the reason it was almost $600 because I have a daughter who likes to be cold.
That's me. I feel her.
Okay, and so in the middle of the night she keeps turning down the thermostat,
She
and
could
it
touch
would
the thermostat?
run.
We couldn't do that growing up. Oh wow.
Lord.
Okay. I'm
But
sorry.
so she'll touch thermostat and put it as cold as like ridiculously cold, right? Or leaving lights on. I'm usually when we're leaving, we go two different times, and so when I'm leaving, I take a set of daughters with me. They leave their room lights on, because my two oldest go with me and my youngest go with my wife. They leave the lights on, the TV on, all these lights on. And I remember one time bill was like $700, and I'm like, man, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a lot.
And so I started limiting, like a curfew, limiting on how many times they can, what times they can watch TV, making sure it's turned off. I think we went a whole week without even TV, just because I was like, you guys got to do better. You got to be responsible. They were miserable. They hated it, but was I right?
You are. You are. And I think sometimes we be looking for like this quick validation, like to confirm that we are onto something, confirm that we are right. And it's rarely gonna come that quickly. You gonna know that you're right when your baby, one of your children, one of your babies is 30 some years old with her own family. And she's like, I gotta cut these lights off. Y'all gotta cut these lights off. Y'all know how much my bill is when she's doing the same things that you did with her. That's how you know you was right.
How do I get my mind right to do that though? Like I know I can. Like there's no Kool-Aid in my blood.
Yeah.
I'm not scared.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Oh, that's an old school saying. Ain't no Kool-Aid. Ain't no Kool-Aid in my veins. That's the real saying. But I'm not scared to do it. I don't want to lose anyone. I don't want to hurt anyone. But I'm not scared to do it. I'm just like, how do I get my head right?
Well, I guess like what's most important to you? Like you say, you don't want to lose nobody, you don't want to hurt nobody, and I believe, you don't. None of us do. But is it most important for me to not quote unquote lose them right now, as say like 13, 14, 15, where they don't understand life no way, or do I lose them as adults when they are just not productive adults? And I'm having to do everything for them because they can't for themselves. Or, whatever that thing is that you have to balance. Maybe that's how I would approach looking at this in order to make myself comfortable with the decision that I have to make.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I can't argue with you. You're right. I'm just thinking. So, okay, let me tell you about this one situation. So there's a couple I know who are on the brink of divorce. They've separated. They're talking about divorce. The problem is the wife feels like she's doing everything. And the husband is a good provider, but he isn't, he's checked out at home. Good relationship. What do they do?
I mean, I'm gonna need more information, but go ahead.
it's typical. Like, I mean, it's your typical. You're not doing what I need you to do at home, and you don't appreciate me.
Okay, so very, very layered. I think everything in life is layered. Like everything is nuanced. So forgive me, but I believe that there really has to be a conversation. Like communication is everything, right? And the reason I think we push communication so much is because we all have different experiences. We all have different pasts and different upbringings, and we have different ideologies and definitions for things. So where I may be saying, I was clear on what I just told you to do, how you heard it may not have been what I thought I was clear on, which is why we have to converse on the expectations. So that woman, that wife, would need to be able to tell her husband how she feels or what his actions mean to her.
Right. But it may not even be a clear thing as much as it is he may be checked out. But there may be a reason he's checked out.
Correct.
The reason you're not getting his cooperation, and I believe this is because he's checked out.
Yeah.
He's checked out, and so you're asking him to do something, but he don't want to do it because he doesn't feel like doing it.
Yeah, and we have to figure out through communication, like why you're checked out. What caused you to get checked out? What did I do? How did I contribute to you being here?
Can women admit to the fact that they may not be perfect?
Oh, you finna send me on a...
That's what I'm about to get to. Because a lot of times, women feel like, I'm perfect, you're wrong. I just need you to get on board.
Right. And I am always right. You know, I am.
How can you be always right, but you need to be put in place?
Right. I know.
Okay,
and this is just me being facetious. Yeah. I do think it's really tough for women to admit when we are wrong, or I'm even having difficulty saying wrong because I really don't think it is that we are wrong. I believe it's just how the woman mind works. Yeah. How we perceive things, and it's totally different from how you all perceive things. So does that make me wrong? No, but it doesn't make me right either. And I think we got to be open to that.
See, and then I would argue you are wrong when you think that you don't have to pay attention to your husband.
Oh, I agree.
You are wrong when you don't check in and make sure that you're doing your job, what he needs, providing what he needs.
Child.
You're wrong when you think it should be all about you and what you're doing for me instead of what I can be doing for you.
Case in point, right? I got this uncle, this family member. He is married to this woman who I don't like. And everybody know I don't like her. I don't mess with her. And so, but the reason I don't mess with her is because of that right there. They live in 2 different states, okay? And so my uncle is lonely. He's doing everything by himself. He's paying all of her bills in that other state and stuff. I think he's even like putting her through school or something like that too. He got deployed. He's with the National Guard. He got deployed and he was gone for a year and some change. And when he got back, he didn't get back to his wife. She in the state doing whatever she doing. Okay, she didn't even come and see him for like a few weeks into him being back home. And he was sharing with me how devastating that was, right? But I know this is her MO. I know this. So I don't expect nothing more from her. But I told him, I was like, I know that you get a sense of satisfaction for taking care of her. He likes that he can afford to pay for her school and help her get to what she going and take care of all the bills and stuff. But she also has a job that she's supposed to be doing to you. She's supposed to be taking care of your needs, whatever those needs are. I said, look, if that would have been me, if that was me and my husband was gone for a week, I would have been like, girl, look, we can't hang out tonight. I got to go get stuff together because he coming home. You know what I'm saying? But she ain't do that. Right. And so, yeah, I don't even know why you even started saying that. I done got so wrapped up in his life. What was the question that you said or whatever the statement was?
What happens when you can't satisfy your or why doesn't women look to make sure they're satisfying their man?
Why don't we look to make sure we satisfying our man? Uh, Controversial. I'm a dare say it's because we women we don't know what it really is to be a wife and a partner. I believe that through many means of this feminist movement,
Yep.
we have taken on these ideas that everything is about us,
Hmm.
that it is a man's sole duty to do for us, and that we do nothing. All we bring is good sex.
Right. Right.
That's it.
Right. Like what happened to, and I think we lost this when the home dynamics changed from where it was a one income house. The wife was the caretaker, the homemaker. I think somewhere along the line we lost that because I know couples who still have that dynamics. The wife is home with the kids, but even with that, they are not doing anything that's feeding this man, and
Right.
they're having finding it difficult. Like they get the kids off to school, and then I talk to them, and they're like, I was like, so what did you do today? You know, because they'll sleep. I'm not saying everyone. I know this isn't there, but the ones that I've kind of worked with, their routine is get the kids off. They'll sleep. They'll wake up maybe about an hour before everyone starts getting home, and now they're in a panic. They'll get food and then complain to their husband that you don't help me with laundry, or you don't help me with this, you don't help me with that, because you wait until an hour before you get
Right.
home before you start actually getting anything done. There's no duty that goes. I think we lost what that duty is. That's why a lot of men are like, why would I, why would I, we could use that income if you come and work. Why would I let you stay at home and be a homemaker if you're not doing
You ain't even
anything that's
doing it.
benefiting?
Right.
If you're not benefiting us, like how does you being home benefit us? Especially when the kids are in school. Like I can
Yes.
understand if you're, homeschooling the kids and and stuff like that, and but I've also seen it done right. Like I know someone who saves their family a whole lot of money. She makes her own bread from scratch. Like they don't never buy bread from the store. She makes her own bread. She makes sure the family eats healthy. She has a garden. She saves money a lot of different ways. And she does a little, hustle on the side,
Okay.
where it brings in a little extra income and stuff like that. She organizes the house, organizes the accounts. She does a lot while her husband goes and work. And that works, the relationship work. Like the husband was like, I wouldn't dare have her go to work. She saves us more money
Right. She's
staying at
contributing.
home. She's
Yeah.
contributing more at home than she is if she went to work.
So I have a question on all of this that you've been saying. The overall theme that I hear from a couple of the examples that you shared about certain challenges with these couples, as a therapist, is it that you do not speak, or do you speak about divorce, like as a real thing? Like, why is it that it seems like the push is for the square peg to fit into the round hole?
Yeah. You got me there. I'm not an advocate for divorce.
But it ain't got nothing to do with you, though.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm not an advocate for divorce. So
I mean, I don't think really
typically,
anybody is.
right.
But why are we fighting so hard to create something that is not meant for us to create?
I think when I'm entering into the counseling session in the arena of a marriage counseling, I'm thinking about if it's not with her, it's going to be with someone else. Or if it's not with him, it's going to be with someone else. We don't really shop in different variety of stores. We're going to get pretty much the same thing over and over again. I've seen people married 3, 4, 5 times and they keep marrying the same person.
Right.
Just a different skin. You know what I mean?
So do you
So
believe that any marriage can work?
I believe if marriage is going to work, it requires change within ourselves. I try to bring out the change within because it doesn't matter if, If all you coming to therapy for is to decide whether or not you're going to be married or not, you're gonna be in a circle. You just a pattern. You just gonna because if you do decide like, hey, this person I don't need to be with anymore. Okay, you're gonna leave them. You're gonna get lonely. You're gonna find another version of them. You're gonna get married, and you're gonna be back in the same spot again.
Yeah, I agree that people should do their work. I'm not at all coming from a perspective of unhealthy individuals who ain't done their work.
Right.
But I'm more so saying, like, when we are together, and it has been proven that we keep having these same fights, these same battles. I've been working on me, you've been working on you, we've been working together. Bruh, you're obviously one, whoever the you is, not
Right.
ready for this type of relationship. And maybe instead of us fighting so much, maybe we should just accept you are who you are and I am who I am, and the two
Right.
don't mesh.
So here's the premise I have when I think divorce is necessary. Is when you've made the changes that makes you a healthier individual, but your partner hasn't.
Okay.
And now you're living a healthy. It'll actually do it itself, because light and darkness can't be in the same space. So if you're being healthy and they're being unhealthy, it's just going to be unfair, because the risk will even go even greater,
Right.
because you're not changing and they've changed. And so yeah, that's when divorce is probably best, because you're not able to be your best person because this person won't let you. Versus we both are dysfunctional and we're trying to figure it out. I'm like, hey, this is the best playground
Correct.
to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think you ultimately helped me in this journey. I think where I'm leaving off, and if I was to give anybody out there some advice, especially men, one thing I'm hearing is you can't take a passive role. You can't check out just because you're not allowed to lead. You're gonna have to make the hard choice of saying, I know what it is that we need, taking a look at it, drawing up a plan, presenting it to your family, and saying, this is what we're gonna do. I need you to get behind me. Despite the past, despite what's happened, either you got to get behind me, or this isn't going to work. And you have to be able to stand firm on that. If you are broken, meaning you got dysfunction, issues from trauma from the past,
Which we all do.
yeah, go get it fixed. Go work on it. Get with the counselor, let them work on it. But you need to play your role. You need to play your role, or the fabric of what you're building, your family, will never be built. It'll break
Agreed.
down.
You said it.
And so, I think that's what we need ultimately in that arena.
Men gotta be men.
Yeah. You last word, what would you say?
That was it. Men gotta be men.
Yeah.
Last word.
And trust that if you're being the man, the woman will follow.
A woman who being a woman. I gotta add that part. Because I can't just say that, all women are great. But no, a woman who's in her rightful role, yes, we will follow.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Comment, let us know if you do it, and tell us what happens. This is for entertainment only, so if it don't work, don't blame us. And we look forward to it. Thank you, guys.